three of us got the same base in Japan. It was me and my friend Jeff. Jeff's face said it all. He was so disappointed. He really wanted to be on the East Coast so he could be with Allison, the guard chick he just met a few weeks ago. I guess his high school sweetheart, who he would call every night on the phone, obviously didn't mean nothing to him anymore. I hear a knock on my door. I open up the door and it's Jeff. And he goes, "Bro, I slept with Peggy." Peggy? Come on, man. Peggy? So the only time that I saw Jeff outside of class was when I saw him at the chow hall eating with a new girl who just arrived with the new arrivals from boot camp. I remember this young lady, she was very good looking. She looked like a mix of Mila Kunis and Uma Thurman on the cover of Pulp Fiction. So the next day in class, the first thing I asked Jeff is, "Yo man, who was that chick you were hanging out with last night?" He said, "Her name is Natalie and she's 19 years old. Natalie joined the military so she could get away from her 30-year-old ex-husband." Natalie said that her husband was always cheating on her, but she finally broke it off when her husband gave her genital warts. Literally, as soon as I was walking out the building at midnight, a guy from the next shift stops me at the door. He goes, "Yo, JD, Natalie called me earlier. She asked me to tell you if you could swing by her room after you get off of work." So I knock. This beautiful young lady answers the door in a pink silk nightie. She gives me a hug and her perfume just tries to hypnotize me. Without saying a word, she grabs my hand and she leads me inside a room. All the lights were off and the only things that were lit were candles and the TV. So we're inside the room and I jokingly asked, "So I heard you got some furniture you want me to move?" She asked my dumb joke and I was just like, "Nah, I'm just playing." But curious, I'm like, "So what's up, Natalie?" And she goes, "Oh, nothing. I just wanted to know if you wanted to watch a movie with me." So we all know what that means. I mean, judging by the situation, I mean, she wants to Netflix and chill. You know, at this point, I usually get my, Mac Denzel mode on. But the only thing that was going through my mind was, this girl has a sick uterus. Sick uterus. Obviously, every man in this situation could probably be standing up. However, I ended up having an innie. My penis was just trying to pack up and leave. I just couldn't get those genital warts out of my mind. So then I asked, "Well, what movie do you want to watch?" She's like, I don't know, but I think I have the new Robin Williams movie." So at this point, since she doesn't even know what movie she wants to watch, obviously I'm picking up what she's putting down. Catching what she's throwing. But I was trying to maneuver my way out of the situation. So I was like, you know what? I'm a little tired. I just got off a 12-hour shift. I'm dirty and I feel like I stink. She's like, "Oh, it's okay. You could shower here. I have some gray sweatpants you could borrow." Then she goes, "And I heard that your heater doesn't work, so maybe you could spend the night and we could keep each other warm." I was like, "Girl." And I'm thinking like, man, if only she didn't have genital warts. So at this point, I'm just not trying to be rude, I guess. Since, she was trying to make me stay. And also, I wouldn't mind kicking it with some hot girl in her nice smelling room. Well, since I knew I didn't want any hanky-panky, I'm like, alright, pop the movie in. I'm thinking, I could stay and watch a Robin Williams movie. Everyone loves Robin Williams movies. Jumanji, Miss Doubtfire, Flubber. I could chill and laugh for a couple hours. Why not? It's better than being alone in my frozen icebox. So I sit down on her recliner and I'm still in full uniform. The lights are still off. She pops in the movie and she lays down on her bed. As soon as the opening credits start, she gives me one last hint. She goes, "Come in bed with me. Let's watch the movie underneath the sheets." Hesitant, I'm like, Nah, I'm good here. While I make myself comfortable grabbing the chair handle and reclining back to stretch out a little bit. And not gonna lie, I was pretty excited to watch a movie. However, I didn't know that the latest Robin Williams movie at the time was literally the worst movie he ever made. It's called The Night Listener. The whole time, I was waiting for something funny to happen. I even think that Natalie took a nap while we were watching the film. I was just waiting for Robin Williams to dress up as a nanny or run away from rhinos. But no, the movie was a serious movie where Robin Williams played a gay radio host. So yes, the situation was literally me in a room with a hot chick who was hot and bothered while watching Robin Williams acting like an unfunny gay man. Bruh. Yes, telling the story is embarrassing for me, but hey, I didn't want to risk having lumps on my magic stick. So after 2 long, grueling hours of watching this dumb movie, I get up, stretch out, and I say, all right, I'm gonna head out. So Natalie goes for the final push. She goes, don't leave. I just want some company. Please spend the night. As I'm heading towards the door, I say, nah, I'm cool. It's 2 in the morning and I gotta get to bed. It's funny because I can still visualize her sitting on her bed, confused and disappointed at me for not wanting to take her advances. I mean, this was a gorgeous young lady just looking for some loving. What man wouldn't fall for her? Maybe you guys would risk it, but I guess I just appreciate having a clean whistle. Clean whistle. I said bye, and then I go back to my little icebox. More on me and Natalie later on in the story, but for now, let's stay with Jeff and Peggy. But I promise to add on to the Natalie story. It goes deeper, but let me finish off the Jeff and Peggy story. But I promise to bring back Natalie. So the week goes on, and I'm still working 12-hour shifts with Peggy. So I go on my lunch break, and since I was working from noon to midnight, my lunch was roughly during dinner time. And the chow hall has set hours. Obviously, they have slots for breakfast, hours for lunch, and different hours for dinner. So they're open and closed around the same time every single day. So as I go to my lunch, it's dinner time for everybody else. I go to lunch and I see Jeff at the chow hall. I shake his hand and I'm like, hey man, Valentine's Day is next week. Are you excited to see your fiance? Excited? He's like, hell yeah man, I can't wait. I noticed Jeff was grabbing to-go boxes while I was putting my food on a tray because I wanted to eat inside the chow hall. Obviously, if he had to-go boxes, he wasn't gonna eat inside the chow hall. So as soon as we got our food, I said bye to him and I just ate at the chow hall by myself. So I head back to work and that's when me and Peggy changed spots. So since I just came back from lunch, she gets an hour to go to lunch after I get back. So after she comes back from lunch, I see her coming in with the biggest smile on her face. Smile from ear to ear. Curious, I'm like, yo, what's up, Peggy? What's going on? She's like, you won't believe it. I'm like, whoa, what's up? What happened? She's like, Jeff just proposed to me. And she shows me the ring. I'm like, what? Like, what? Confused. I'm just confused. Yo, I didn't believe anything she was saying. This whole situation was just unbelievable. I mean, I just saw him. He literally just told me that he was so excited to see his fiance, who was going to arrive next week for Valentine's Day. Excited. She goes, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm Jeff's future wife. I'm like, yeah, girl, I can't believe it either. Like I said, I just saw Jeff. You would think he would tell me something. So Peggy spent the remaining hours in our shift just showing off her ring. So when the shift ended, I went back home and I knocked on Jeff's door. He opened up and I shake his hand. I'm like, hey man, congrats on your second engagement. He goes, I know, right? Thank you, man. Confused. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, man. I just thought it was easier to marry a girl who's already here than marry a girl who I had to bring from my hometown. Trying to comprehend everything, because I mean, it's nuts. You know, the only thing I can say is, bro, you're crazy. Agreeing, he goes, I know, man, but who cares? I don't know. I mean, if this guy is already acknowledging that he's crazy, at this point, what can I do? I mean, if his crazy decisions make him happy, then just let him be happy. I mean, what would you guys do? And yes, as a friend, we're all only 19. However, I don't know. As I'm remembering it and I'm saying it and I'm sharing it with you guys, all this is just crazy to me. I guess you could say it's been a crazy 5 weeks. The next day, Peggy changes her entire MySpace page and covers it with pictures of Jeff. Yes, MySpace. She even changes her name on her MySpace to Jeff's future wife. So by the end of the week, we're told that we're done working 12-hour shifts and we're allowed to go back to work at our regular duty section. With that, I also got some amazing news. Jeff, Peggy, and I were told that we were going to receive our permanent rooms. So you know what that means? No more living in the Arctic. No more frozen room. I'm about to get my permanent room with the heater that works. Best thing I heard in the last 5 weeks. So I get a room key. It's like a little credit card. Obviously, if you've ever been to a hotel room, you know they use a card. So it's like a hotel key. So all excited, I get to my new room. First thing I do, check if the heater works. And yup, heater was good to go. So I noticed that Jeff, Peggy, and I, we end up getting new rooms in the same building. So Peggy and I, we get rooms on the second floor. The reason why I know this is because her room is in front of my room. So obviously, she's right across the hall from me. Jeff ended up getting a room downstairs right underneath Peggy's room. And yeah, you would think that I would probably trade with them. But as soon as I saw a working heater, I'm not going anywhere. Selfishly, I was just trying to be warm. I'm not risking anything. It's time for me to be warm, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not giving up my room. So we spend the entire weekend moving into our new building. The weekend goes by and Peggy and I go back to our regular jobs. And like I said before, we work in different sections, but we work in the same building. And the building's not that big. So as Peggy and I were at work, I overhear her flirting with one of my coworkers, but flirting in a creeper type of way. So she was going around the building and she was sharing how she had a crush on my coworker. I mean, the guy was pretty cool. He was my friend. He was actually my direct coworker. And like I said, I guess she had a crush on him. It was hilarious watching him duck and dodge her. Like every single day, she'll want to come into my office so she could flirt with my coworker. But as soon as he would hear her in the hallway, hallway, he'll just sneak out the back door. Peggy was a major creep. Yo, this girl would flirt hard. She would like touch him and like rub his shoulders, rub his back. You know, really emphasize it. Like every time she'll talk to him, she'll like touch him on the chest, touch him on the arms. Real borderline sexual harassment type of stuff. Man, my homie would get so mad and so embarrassed. I mean, this is Peggy we're talking about. You know, Peggy. Obviously an overweight lady who's not easy on the eyes. Plus, she's engaged. And trust me, my homie was not trying to lead her on and he was not flirting back. She just wouldn't get the hint. Because every time she'll try to touch him, he'll like move back. And like I said, the fact that he'll duck and dodge her and every time she'll come in my section and come flirt with him, he'll make an excuse to go leave and go do something else just to avoid talking to her. So the next week, my coworker saw Jeff, Peggy, and I, and a few other friends in the chow hall. Jeff, not knowing that Peggy was over here flirting and filling up on my coworker every chance she got. Jeff sees my coworker and he goes, "Hey man, what's up? How you doing?" Everybody in the squadron is familiar with each other since we had to go to commander's call every single week. So even though you don't have a personal relationship with everybody, you at least know them through passing. So when Jeff said hi to my coworker came to our table where we were eating. All pissed, he yells, "Yo, tell your girl to leave me alone, I don't want her." And he storms out of the chow hall. Jeff, bright red from embarrassment, he looks at Peggy and he asks, "Yo, what is he talking about?" Shamefully, she starts crying and she runs out of the chow hall. Jeff gets up and he chases after her. Everyone on the table is just stunned. I'm over here with a spoonful of food because hey, at this point, I'm just used to all this craziness. I totally understand where my coworker was coming from because seriously, Peggy was going hard. Like I said, it was borderline sexual harassment. So during the rest of the week, we didn't see Peggy come visit us in our office. It was actually the most comfortable I ever seen my coworker. Okay guys, so it's finally Valentine's Day. I guess it wasn't meant for me to meet Jeff's fiance from Iowa. I mean, I was kind of bummed because I've been hearing about this girl for over 6 months. I mean, at one point, she even died. But hey, I guess I couldn't meet the zombie lady. So I'm hanging out in my room, watching some TV, hanging out by myself. So yeah, that meant that I didn't have a Valentine. All of a sudden, I hear someone knocking all loud at my door. I open up the door and Peggy rushes into my room crying hysterically. Shocked, I was like, "What's wrong?" Without saying anything, she just takes off her shirt. I'm like, "Yo, whoa, what are you doing?" Crying, she goes, "Look what Jeff did." I look at Peggy with nothing but a bra on and she had hella bruises all over her body. She had bruises all over her stomach, her chest, her arms, and her back. Yo, Jeff was using her straight up like a punching bag. It looked really bad. She goes, "He's beating me up because I was flirting with your coworker." At this point, I just felt like I needed to do something. I mean, yes, the whole cheating thing, I didn't want to get involved in that. But now, I mean, Jeff is really beating on her. So now I felt like I needed to intervene. But still, at the same time, even though, yes, I did felt like I needed to do something, I was hesitant because at the end of the day, it's none of my business. I mean, what would you do at 19 and all this is presented to you? So I asked her if she wanted me to do something. Now, I wasn't thinking about beating on the guy, but at the same time, we should tell somebody. I mean, no matter who it is, whether if it's a supervisor, the police, you know, another friend, the chaplain, anybody. I mean, shoot, we can even call her mama. So she goes, no, I'm not showing you this so you could do something. I just needed to tell somebody. So respectfully, I tell her to put her shirt back on. So as she's putting her shirt back on, I hug her and I tell her to have a seat. So again, I ask, "What do you want me to do?" I start mentioning what I just said, how we should call the cops. Do you want me to tell your supervisor? Because at this point, this is real serious. So then she begs me, "No, please don't tell anybody." Then she starts making me feel guilty by saying, "Oh, I thought I could trust you. You know, I thought you were my friend. I didn't think that you were gonna tell anybody." So I was like, "Peggy, do you really want to be in this abusive relationship?" And she just goes, "Well, I love him." So I did my best to just calm her down and help her gain her composure. So after shifting the energy for like an hour, she washed her face and she left. At the end of it, I felt like I should just stay out of it, especially the way she was kind of using it against me. So I just felt like it wasn't my place to do or say anything. However, I did need to have a conversation with Jeff soon. I waited a few days for everything to calm down and I went down to Jeff's room to try to have a man-to-man conversation with him. Because I mean, at this point, this man is still my friend. So I'm in Jeff's room and I'm just trying to have a good conversation. I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just trying to be a friend. So I asked Jeff, "Hey man, why are you beating up Peggy? You know, that's not a good look, bro." As soon as I calmly say that, he starts yelling. He goes, "Hey man, get out of my business. Man, I can't believe she told you. I don't want you talking to Peggy anymore. You know, real friends don't get in each other's business." Then he goes, "Get out of my room." And he straight kicked me out of his room. And you know, I'm not trying to fight the man. I wasn't there to try to beat him up or anything. So I just walked out. As soon as I walked out, he yells, "And don't talk to me again." I mean, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm surprised my friend reacted like that, especially the way I approached him. I wasn't trying to come in and attack him. I was just trying to understand and have a conversation. So like I said, I just walked out and I just went to my room. So it's the last week of February, and the chief of our entire squadron, he pulls me in his office. He tells me that he's shipping me out to Afghanistan on April 1st. So that means that I'm literally shipping off in less than 5 weeks. So they sent me through some training during those 5 weeks, and I also start to out-process my base in Japan. However, I still have to report in to my regular duty section. So now, during the first week of March, I start out-processing. I randomly check my messages or my DMs on MySpace, and I see a message from Allison. I don't know if you guys remember Allison from earlier, but I met Allison during my time in Texas. She was from Connecticut, and if you remember who I'm talking about, she was a girl who left during training, went back home, and then she came back, and that's where I met her in the same class with Jeff. Well, anyway, like I said, her and Jeff had a thing with each other, and if you recall, she was actually the reason why Jeff wanted to move to the East Coast, so he could be close to her. So I read her message on MySpace, and she wrote, "Hey JD, how are you? Long time no talk. I remember you got stationed in Japan with Jeff." Then the message goes, "Well, guess what? Jeff and I have been talking for a while, and we decided to be with each other. I'm going to buy my ticket to go visit him in Japan. I hope we all get a chance to hang out with each other when I get there. See you guys soon." Bro, at this point, I'm just so sick and tired of this man's lies and entanglements. This man is just hella messy. So to just keep it short, I just sent her the link to Peggy's MySpace page. A page blasted with pictures of Jeff and Peggy kissing and hugging. And like I said, Peggy even changed her main name on her MySpace to Jeff's future wife. I also added a note and I said, "Look girl, Jeff is engaged. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Just don't waste your money coming over here. And after you see the link, honestly, just leave me out of it." As y'all can see, I was just done with Jeff's drama. She later responded and she thanked me for it, letting her know. So I dropped back to work to go check into my regular duty section, and a sergeant in our building gets everyone together. And she tells us that we all needed to be at the base courthouse on March 15th. And guess why? Because everybody needed to support Peggy, because that's the day that Peggy and Jeff are legally getting married. And yes, it was mandatory. So March 15th comes and we all carpool to the courthouse. And we all witness this beautiful, loving couple come together as one. Yes, I mean, it was awkward being there and witnessing these two idiots marry each other. I don't know if it was more awkward for me or the guy Peggy was always flirting with in my shop, because he had to be there too. But we all had to be there regardless because we had to follow orders. And as Jeff requested, I didn't approach them or talk to them at all. The rules from the sergeant was just show up, watch them get married, and have some snacks. After the cookies and the fruit punch, we were free to go. So I just left, and that was that. Congrats to Mr. and Mrs. Jeff. So it's now my last week in Japan. Now all I have to do is just show up to work, let them know I'm alive, and let them know that I'm not going AWOL or running away from the war. So I go into work and everyone in the building is just hanging out together in the warehouse. So I say hi to the entire room and I just take a seat and just listen to the conversation that was already going on. All of a sudden, Peggy sees my coworker, you know, the one she has a crush on. Then she yells in front of everybody, "Damn boy, you looking extra hot today." All weird, everybody was like, what the hell? The sergeant who organized the mandatory trip to the courthouse for Peggy's wedding, she was like, "Girl, didn't you just get married?" Peggy goes, "Well, Jeff's my husband at home, but he's my work husband." Everyone started laughing, but Peggy was dead serious. Man, I hella felt bad for my coworker because he really hated Peggy. Like I said, she would always flirt with him, but it was unwanted. And even though they have a history together, obviously when he told Jeff to tell her to leave him alone, and obviously after the beatings and after everything else, nope, it didn't stop Peggy, and she continued to flirt with my coworker. Nah, but I really felt bad because he hated her. So even though I just got to the office, that was actually my cue to leave. So I leave and I just wait for April 1st. So now it's April 1st and I'm now on a plane to Afghanistan. So I spent my whole summer and fall there, and after my deployment, I came back home to California to vacation for a month. So I finally transitioned back to Japan around November 1st. I haven't seen Jeff and Peggy in a while, but through some rumors around the squadron, I heard that Jeff wasn't doing so good in his career. I was told he failed his physical fitness test. He also failed a few academic tests that we have to take. The worst part is I heard that he was getting fired from a few sections around the squadron. Many sergeants didn't want him working in their section, so he would just bounce around in different sections, annoy the sergeants, and then then get sent to another section, and he was just in that cycle. So as I was transitioning back into my base in Japan, I got invited to the squadron Thanksgiving party. All these parties are mandatory. It's to raise morale and promote camaraderie, so we all have to be there. So I get to the Thanksgiving party, and I see Jeff and Peggy at a distance. I really had no idea, but Peggy was hella pregnant. I mean, good for them. She looked like she was already in her 3rd trimester. I haven't been in their drama in a long time, so hey, maybe Jeff changed his creeper ways. So in the military, female service members have the choice to get out honorably during their 3rd trimester of pregnancy, so they can get out and take care of their newborn baby. Peggy takes the option and she discharges from the military. So now she's a stay-at-home wife and officially a dependent. So she gives birth to her first baby, and shortly after, she gets pregnant again. So one day when I'm at work in my old duty section, you know, the section within the building where me and Peggy used to work at. So I'm at work, and all of a sudden I hear the front door slam open, and in rushes in Peggy crying hysterically. She runs down the hallway to her old duty section, and she starts yelling for her old supervisor. So that sergeant comes out, and she gets her into her office so they can speak privately. After a while, Peggy comes out of the sergeant's office with no tears. Everything's calm now. She walks past my office and she walks out the building. So through human nature, that same sergeant who Peggy just came to cry to, the same sergeant who helped her organize her entire wedding, she comes into the office to gossip, to spill the tea. Or, as we know, what's a Mexican's favorite kind of cheese? Cheeseman. So this lady just came in to just spread the cheese. I mean, shoot, I have no problem with that. I mean, look at you guys. How far are you into this story? See, you guys are cheese monsters. Anyway, so here's the cheese. So Peggy went to her appointment at the OBGYN because, like I said, she got pregnant again after giving birth to the first baby. So during her appointment, the doctor obviously was telling her that she was pregnant, the baby was healthy, but that she contracted genital warts. Peggy said she wasn't cheating on Jeff. However, Jeff admitted that he was having sex with the Japanese prostitutes off base. As we know, knowing that Jeff is allergic to latex, this nasty man was off base having unprotected sex with Japanese hookers. And he ended up giving genital warts to his pregnant wife. Crazy. I mean, just thinking about it, like I said before, just remembering things, saying it, and just going back in time and putting myself back in 2007, reliving that situation, it's just crazy because, I mean, it really happened, and that's pretty messed up. So we asked the sergeant what she told her. So the sergeant advised her to leave Jeff. So finally, after the beatings, after the entanglements, the lies, and genital warts, Peggy agrees to leave Jeff. So Peggy bought 2 plane tickets for her and her newborn daughter to go back to her hometown. So unfortunately, as Jeff's family life was falling apart, the Air Force actually decided to kick him out. He would act crazy and rude with everybody, and at one point he just stopped listening to every single sergeant. And like I said, he was failing his physical fitness test and his academic testing. So with all that combined, they give him an admin discharge and they just send him back home to Iowa. So Peggy lasted a little over a year in the military, and Jeff completed 2 years out of his 6-year contract. So the last thing I heard from Peggy was that she had the second child that she was pregnant with, and after that she got remarried to someone in her hometown. Jeff went back to Iowa, he remarried, and he had 2 more kids. And that's the last thing I know from that crazy couple. Crazy, right? Alright, so let's rewind about a year so I could tell you guys about that horny girl Natalie. You know, Natalie.